and welcome back to another Dying Light 2 video. And today is basically do or die for this and the parkour in general, because I can't fast travel, I can't go to another story mission, I can't do anything like that. I just can't. And I tried that last video. And because I really wanted to do another main story mission, but every time I tried to leave this area to jump down there, even though I'd be tracking that other story mission, then it would say that I'm leaving the mission area. And so I just feel trapped, and out of my months and months of frustration, at this point it's just months and months, man. I am just like, I just can't handle it anymore. So if I'm not really able to do the parkour today, I'm just gonna throw in the towel. Because as much as I have a do or die, or as much as I have a don't give up type of mindset, I'm not insane, and I'm not going to go insane, and I'm not going to lose my mind just because I'm having trouble with some game. Like, it's not worth it in my eyes. I have other stuff that I would love to play for this channel. And, you know, before this year kind of got to a point where I kept trying to play the same stuff and was only playing the same few things, it seemed like. Okay, I'll give it a few more attempts. I'll get this video for 10 minutes, at least. But it's just like, things are getting worse too. Like, that's the thing, man. Things are getting worse. And so I don't understand how, as a sane person, I can just look at things getting worse and me not being able to succeed for months and months and months and go, you know what? This next time I can do it. I mean, I mean, that mentality that I have in life usually serves pretty good, you know, a never say die type of mentality, but you know, there's just some points where I just have to give up. And just realize that I'm struggling. I mean, I've been on this since like April. So that's way too long. I've given this way too many opportunities, way too many chances, just way too much everything. Oh, I thought, yep, gonna fail, yep. See, it's even worse now. It's even worse. It's even worse. I don't understand how it's gotten so much worse over the past few months. Like, that's the part where if I cared anymore, like, this has just broken me to where I just physically can't do this anymore. I just can't play this game anymore. I just can't. I just can't. I just can't. Because it's like, okay, let me set that as the active quest. It's like, okay, well then let's just go to the map. And then see that... Why aren't you going the way that... It's not moving the way that I want it to. Okay, so now the tracked quest is all the way over there. Which is great. Okay? Then you walk off the edge, and then it's like, return to the mission area. It's like, that's not even my active quest anymore. That's not even my active quest anymore. You know what, I'm gonna try respawning last story point, see what I get there. Last story point. Oh. Same exact. Like, it auto-selected such that mission is the active. No, I don't want... Or that it's the tracked quest. I don't want that. Like, no, I don't want that. Like, okay, track quest. It's like, okay, well then let me jump down so that I can actually do the thing. It's like, oh boy, you're leaving the mission area. Like, so when I mean, if you're new to this, when I say that I've tried just about everything that I can think of, I've tried just about everything I can think of. Including, like, I can't fast travel. I can't fast travel because in a mission. But the thing is, just like, I guess they didn't anticipate you in the middle of a story mission going, okay, well this is a little tough. Let me just go to this side mission and kind of get more experience and do whatever else I need to do. No, they didn't even consider that. And I will say that Dying Light 1 and 2 are not bad games by any stretch, but they're just really underwhelming games. They are very underwhelming. And, I mean, Dying Light was constructed and put together far better than Dying Light 2. And I don't know how long they spent making the original Dying Light. I would have to look it up. But I remember when I was starting my Dying Light 1 playthrough in February of 2020, so right before the virus and all that stuff, you could see Dying Light 2 gameplay, and that had just come out. Now, because of COVID, the game got delayed, as well as practically everything got put on hold. Now, I guarantee you they weren't working on the game for those 2 years between February of 20 and February of 22 when this game came out. But, and I'm no game designer, but I do work in IT, so I know a little bit about technology. And I guarantee you that they could have used some of that. Let's give them a year. Let's give them from February of 21 to February of 22. So let's give them a year. Heck, even 6 months. But I would say, and I would argue that if the game wasn't even, like, fully done, why release it? Why release it? That's part of the problem with modern gaming, is that all these game companies are like, let's release an unfinished game that needs polishing, but let's polish the game after we release it. But let's sell it at full price anyway. Now, this game is not necessarily unfinished. I'm not going to that extent in saying that, but, you know, there's a lot more. Like if this game had another 6 months to a year to be more polished and, you know, spend more time getting better, it would have really benefited from that. Like, not every game can be like Fallout New Vegas, where they're given a timetable and they basically have to rush a product out because they're forced to, and still make an amazing game. And I'm not trying to say that this game was rushed or anything like that, but, I mean, Techland. I believe Techland made this game, and the first game. I'd be like, Techland, come on, man. Did you even consider that? Did you even consider that, you know, people, like I said, would be in the middle of a story mission, have trouble with it, and then want to do side quests? Like, deter from, like, steer away from that story mission and do side quests so that they can get better and before doing that story mission? It's like, games back in the 90s, and it's like games back in the 90s used to kind of punish you for being a little unprepared and all that. Fine. And I guess modern games are doing that in the sense that, you know, they're not made well enough. I mean, I just feel stuck at this point. And, you know, I feel like I would have to restart my playthrough at this point, because I haven't been able to beat the parkour yet. And, you know, it's a terrible feeling, and I hate that feeling. But it is a feeling that I have nonetheless. And I hate it. I don't use that word very often, but I really, really don't like it. with this parkour. Aiden cannot physically do this. I cannot do this. I cannot do this. I have no idea what Aiden did. I have no idea. No idea. And I've gotten frustrated enough that I really can't get too frustrated anymore, because this has broken me. I mentioned some time ago where this would eventually break me, and you know what? I'm at that point. I give up. I throw my hands up in the air and I just give up. I just give up. I just give up. I just can't do this parkour. I just can't. I just physically can't, because I was just thinking, parkour in this game is not as fun as the first game. And there wasn't such daunting stretches of parkour in the first game that I remember like the second game. Maybe toward the very, very end, there was daunting parkour. Not as daunting as this, though. And the parkour was far better in the first game than in the second game. And so I am vastly disappointed and very upset that the parkour is not only worse, but that they made a lot more of it. And they made it mandatory. Like, no. If you're going to make it, if you're going to make a lot more parkour and make it mandatory and do all that kind of stuff that you're doing with the second game, make the parkour better. Make it as good, if not better. I mean, Jesus Christ. How hard is it sometimes? Like I said earlier in the video, I'm not a game designer, but how do you not look at a game like Dying Light that is far from perfect? And Dying Light is a good game. It's not a great game. It's not a masterpiece. It's not. It doesn't blow me away. It's not to the point where it makes me ever want to replay it. Hardly ever do I think about replaying it. And yet I think about replaying games all the time, to give you a perspective on that. But anyway, how do you not look at a game like Dying Light that on its own is decent, and then not have the ability to improve upon that at all? Like, okay, there's a few areas where this game improves a tiny bit, but the areas where this game does not improve, there are far more areas where this game does not improve and it regresses, and by far more than it actually progresses in the few areas that it actually does. Like, I love the factions. The factions help contribute to a pretty decent story. A story that I kind of felt like was slightly lackluster in Dying Light 1. So the story, at least from what I played, is slightly better in Dying Light 2 than Dying Light 1. But like I've said time and time and time and time and time and time and time again, and I will continue to pound my desk in frustration over this, but the parkour in Dying Light 1 is much better than in Dying Light 2. The combat, better. The humor, okay, is so much better. But you know what? I would prefer a game to be a good game and be a game that I want to enjoy and that I do enjoy versus something that makes me laugh. Sure, if a game makes me laugh, whether it be with a joke or with the story or some other comedic moment, fine, whatever. But I don't play a game just so that I can have a good laugh. I don't. Because if I did, I would just watch comedians perform, like Brad Williams. He's hilarious, by the way. I would watch Brad Williams perform comedy while I'm playing video games if I wanted a good laugh while I'm playing a video game. And I feel like the factions and the humor are like the only two things that Dying Light 2 really has to offer that the first game did not or didn't do as well. I mean, the humor in Borderlands 3, I mean, the villains in that game make me cringe at every single given moment that I either have to see them on screen, except for when they're dying, or when I have to hear their dialogue. Oh, it just makes me cringe so much. So I mean, a video game can make me cringe in terms of dialogue, and I can still enjoy it like Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3 is my favorite Borderlands game. It's better than 2. It's better than the first game. I haven't played the pre-sequel, but so I don't know if it's better than that yet, but I mean, Borderlands 3 is within my top 15 or 20 games of all time. It's great! And yet the villains, dialogue, and how they are, oh, it just makes me cringe. So, yeah, I mean, the humor that this game provides can be great, but I'd rather have a Borderlands 3 where it's like practically everything else is great except for the the comedy. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. I'm sorry if you think that Dying Light 2 is amazing, but in my opinion, it's really not. It's if this game were truly amazing, I would have a lot more patience to finish it. Heck, if this game were probably true, or if this game were truly amazing, this game probably would allow me to do side quests, or better yet, the parkour not be so gosh darn difficult. But hey, what do I know? I mean, I've only been playing games for like 20 years. I've only had this channel for over 10. And, I mean, collectively between Dying Light 1 and 2, I've only been playing these games for 4.5 years at this point. So I kind of know what I'm talking about to a certain extent. I mean, it's just my opinion, but, you know, after spending over 40 hours, and I think this is like part 90? Something like that? It's something absurd like that. I think I have a pretty decent idea of how I feel about this game. And like I said, I mean, if you like this game, then that's fine. I mean, as I say when I unveil my top 25 games of all time list practically every year, it's I don't mind if you have a different opinion than I do. I mean, I welcome different opinions. That's part of what makes us unique as humans, as individuals. And so, I mean, every time I think about that, I think about this. no matter what game you think is your favorite of all time, there is somebody out there who thinks that is the worst game of all time, and vice versa. There is somebody who thinks the best game of all time, that is the game that you think is the worst of all time. Now, I don't think Far Cry New Dawn is the worst game of all time. I think it might be the worst AAA game that I have played and ranked. It's at least the bottom two, if not three, worst AAA games of all time. And yet, I have read reviews where people have sunk just thousands and thousands of hours into the game, and they think that that game is the best game of all time. And yet, unless there's a special circumstance, like I don't even have 10 hours in that game. I've completed it once, and that's more than enough for me. I barely even finished that. I barely finished that. Like I was unsure if I was even going to get through that game. It's a miracle that I did. And yet, there are people that probably blow through it and, heck, maybe complete it in one sitting. Like that person that's put thousands and thousands of hours into it. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I've decided that I'm going to play Half-Life next. Because I have been hesitant to play Half-Life because I played Black Mesa for this channel back in 2017, or back in October 17 through, and I beat it in January of 19, I believe. I think it was January. Might have been February. I think January, though. And, you know, I didn't know at the time that Black Mesa is just a remastered Half-Life. But back then, Black Mesa didn't have Zen. Now, there's times where I play Half-Life and I don't even touch Zen. I'll be brutally honest. There's times where I don't even touch Zen. Like, half the time where I beat Half-Life, I don't even touch Zen. Because Zen is alright, but yeah, Zen is very hit or miss for me. Zen depends on my mood that day, whether I want to actually go through it or not. And about half the time, it's like, nah, I don't feel like going through Zen. But I'm gonna go through Zen for you guys, and so that's what I'm gonna play for this channel in place of Dying Light. Dying Light 2. And, well, I feel good. I mean, it'll be like a 3-month period where I'll start Halo Combat Evolved, I'll start The Escapist 2, and I'll start Half-Life. But, yeah, so, I just have no other words for, I just have no other words for Dying Light 2, man. I just don't. I just don't. Other than the fact that I am just vastly disappointed in Dying Light 2. Because I thought going into this game that Dying Light 2 was going to be, like, so amazing. Because I knew that Dying Light was not a bad game at all, like I mentioned. But that they had a lot of areas to improve. And I thought, okay, they had this extra time, and they're going to improve upon this. But they didn't. They did not. They did not. In most areas, it's worse, like I mentioned. And that's baffling to me. Like, I get... Like, okay, Doom Eternal remains my favorite game of all time. It's been my favorite game of all time ever since I completed it, and it's still true. I haven't beaten anything that I consider better. Now, they are releasing a new Doom game next year, Doom: The Dark Ages. Now, if Doom: The Dark Ages is not as good as Eternal, I'm not going to be disappointed. I'm not going to be disappointed that Doom: The Dark Ages is not as good as Eternal, because you can't really top the best game of all time. And heck, even then, like, okay, I consider, let's see, Hotline Miami. Okay, Hotline Miami is really good. I think I have it in my top 15 or top 20 games of all time. Okay. It's hard to improve upon that kind of thing. So, with Hotline Miami 2 not as good, I don't quite fault the sequel for not being able to live up to the original, because whenever the original is really good, and I mean really good, then it is hard to live up to the sequel. Or it is hard to live up to the original when you're making the sequel, and I totally get that. So, but when the original doesn't blow me away, I think it's easy to live up to the original and surpass the original. Not regress and not live up to the original. That would be like you making a C in terms of a paper in school, and the teacher going, well, this was decent, but there's a lot of room for improvement for you. And then you going, okay. And then you going, okay, well, let me just turn in D effort work. And then the teacher going, well, you didn't fail, but you did worse than what you did before. And I thought you were going to improve. I mean, there was a lot of room for you to improve, but you somehow found a way to get worse. Like, for me, it is actually a little bit impressive that Dying Light 2 got worse. It's a little bit impressive to me that it got worse. Like, how do you get that much worse to the second game from the first game, whenever the first game wasn't that great? It kind of blows my mind a little bit. But not to belabor my point anymore. That will do it for the series. I hope you all enjoyed watching this series over the past couple of years. I am saving my sanity by ending this. And trust me, I am just trying to save my sanity at this point. Because I don't think I'd be able to do the parkour, and I don't want to go insane trying to do it. So, I am preserving my mental health, in my opinion, while I do this. Maybe one day, like I mentioned in the Escapist video that I made, back in June, I think it was, that, maybe one day I can return to this, but that day is not today, and that day will probably not come anytime soon. I don't know when that day will come, but certainly not anytime soon. But yeah, I hope you all have enjoyed watching this the past couple of years, and I hope you all join me for Half-Life that will be uploaded, let's see, it's the 17th, so it might be uploaded around the 1st. I don't know, I gotta see what else I got going on in terms of videos around the 1st, because I know I got a new Mutant Football League season starting up, last season of the Oilers Dynasty coming up on the 29th. So, that'll push things back a day, at least for that weekend. Oh yeah, and I've also got Storytime the 30th too, so that'll push things back a couple days, so maybe Half-Life will come out early September. Probably early September, but I don't know. I'd have to look at the calendar and see about everything. But yes, so that will do it for me today. Yeah, I hope you all join me for Half-Life. And yeah. Once again, sorry to all of you that enjoyed this game. I wish I could have shared in your enjoyment, but I just don't. Alright, bye guys. Oh, thank you all for watching.